Greetings. My name is Rebecca, and I am the good wife here at the Crone House. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Today I'm doing something fun. I'm going to do a video response to a tarot tag that Kelly Bear recently did. This tag she resurrected from an old tarot tag that I responded to a year ago, but she has now set it this year with a Halloween theme in honor of our favorite spooky season. I couldn't resist. I thought I would try. To do it. I'm not real good at the tags because I don't have as many decks and things as maybe some people do, but I really was excited about this one. This really made me happy. I don't have a lot of theme decks. Normally I do use different decks periodically through the year, but not a lot exclusively for certain times of the year. Most of them I will do separate into, shadow for shadow work or those kind of things. But I don't do anything really themed. It's an exception this time because Halloween, who doesn't love it? Which of us does not love this season? Okay, so I'm going to give you the prompts in case you want to do it as well, and I will link to her original video. The prompts are the same as they were in the original tag, but of course now we're going to put a Halloween twist on these. So she wants us to name 5 decks, and that would of course be Halloween decks that you like that speak to the season for you. Okay. 4 books, 3 spreads. These would be spreads appropriate for the Halloween. 2 tarot habits and or paraphernalia, again, having to do with Halloween. And 1 piece of tarot advice or a card you wish to embody. Okay. Again, I will put these in the description below along with any links, anything that's necessary. So be sure to look in the little box below to see what I have to say. My first deck is probably the exception to the statement that I just made, that I don't normally use decks that are theme related. This deck is a deck that I normally only use at this time of the year. It's probably my one exception. So I thought I would get it out of the way. It's one of my favorites though. It is the Santa Muerte deck, also known as the Book of the Dead. The artwork is by Fabio Lastrani. It is a Lo Scarabeo deck. Beautiful box, beautiful sturdy box, and beautiful, beautiful images. I love the images in this deck. Okay, I've edged it. I don't think I altered it. I did not alter it, but I did edge it in purple. And I'll get to the book in a minute. It has beautiful, beautiful illustrations. Of course, they're not in order because I do use this. I don't order my cards, but some of our very favorite cards, following the same Rider-Waite-Smith system, but unique imagery to the theme. Beautiful, beautiful illustrated. Here's the death card, Santa Muerte, and we do see her as pregnant, which I particularly really love at this time of the year. The crone takes life and gives life in my Wiccan practice. Okay. The Temperance, the Moon, Devil card, Star. A lot of these are major arcana. Here's the minor arcana. The cups. Oh, it's so beautiful. They're just the imagery is mesmerizing. As long as I've had this deck, every year I get it out and I love it even more. There's nothing saying I can only use it at this time of the year, but I love it, and the reason I love it is because of a special feature that this deck has, and that is in the guidebook for the meanings. It just has very, very short meanings, which we don't particularly care about too much. They're not, we use our own tried and true meanings usually for most of them. There's a little bit of a twist on some of them. But what I do like is for everyone, there is something, it gives a very short paragraph, and then it gives the advice of the dead, which is a message from the dead. Okay, here we have, let's find a card. Here's the Knight of Cups. Let's look for the Knight of Cups and see what it says. It says, we have reached a goal and the end of an experience that will lead us richer and independent. The Knight of Chalices therefore represents a conquest, but he's also an intermedia, the messenger of good news or an invitation to challenges and initiatives to be taken on with strength and will. Okay. Now it also he offers some, it gives a reverse too, but I don't read reversals, so I skip that part. But it also gives advice, and it says, abound totally in your emotions and feelings as you are about to reach an important target, and no negative sentiment should disturb you. So it's a little bit of advice, which is a nice feature. So it's an interesting feature. I tend to use these in a little different way, mostly, and I will be touching on that a little later in the video. But anyway, they're lovely. Nonetheless, these are lovely, lovely cards, which gives a whole new dimension to our experiences with other RWS decks. The second deck I want to share is also another deck from my collection that you have seen. If you have seen this channel before, you have seen me use this deck many times. It is one of my favorite decks. It is something that I use all the time, every year, when I'm doing some shadow work. Now, what does it have to do with Halloween? Well, to me, it has a lot to do with Halloween. It is not exclusive to Halloween. And again, I've edged this one in purple. Don't know why. Purple's not really my thing. It has a little white book that comes with it, which is pretty much worthless. I mean, I don't mean to say that, but it's pretty worthless. And if you also know my channel, I want to tell you that the other thing I really love about this deck is, this is really important to me, it is very easy to shuffle, which is very important to me. I just love that. So all around, it's a great deck. But for Halloween, it's provoking. I love it. It's thought-provoking to me. This is the Death card, and we can see the Death. It's a good example. I can start here because the Death card, here we see a pregnant mother, and here is a child, her child, obviously trying to crawl back up into the womb. She is standing on its head, so it cannot, because it had its time in the womb. It is time to move on. It has been replaced in the womb by a new child. Kind of hard to take the first time I saw it. I thought, oh, that's a little bit harsh. Poor child. But, when I use it, it's a really lovely card, which embraces the spirit of the Death card, which of course is, it's time to move on. It's time. You cannot go back. Whatever you had was finished. It's time to go back. The time of the womb for this child was gone. It's time to leave the womb. It's time to move on. There's something coming for that child now, but it's not going to be what it had in the past. So we love that. And we can see, as I go through, if you're new to this deck, oh my goodness. It disturbs a lot of people, but to me, it is a beautiful deck. The reason I love it for Halloween, we talk about Halloween, we wear costumes, or we're talking about another world. I mean, for a lot of us, the witches particularly, we talk about, the veil being thin at this time for Samhain and this time of the year. And our ability to communicate perhaps with our deceased loved ones in another world, the veil has thinned, and we can maybe contact them to communicate somewhat with them. This is a people. I don't know who these are. They're not the dead necessarily, like we saw in the Santa Muerte deck, but these are a creature. These creatures are unique. They're not animals. They're not people. They're not monsters. Especially the more you get you get in, you use the deck. You don't see them as monsters. I do not see this as a monster. I do not. Half her face is white, half her face is black, different eyes. Different. This is very common. A lot of them, a lot of them have this light at the end of their fingertips. Um, some of them are almost normal, maybe more normal than others. Some are almost like Frankenstein creatures, made up of parts of one and parts of another, and whatever. Okay, that to me is really beautiful at this time of the year. It is a contact with a world of beings that is not the world that we live in. And I really love that because they offer insights to the tarot that I do not maybe receive from the world that I am currently in. So it's really a lovely experience to be able to go off and get messages from this world, get advice from this world of the deviant moon. Look how glorious these are. Oh my goodness, they're so beautiful. Okay, so this is what it's appropriate for Halloween, but yes, I'm not going to just I'm just not going to use it now. I will continue to use this. I won't probably use it at Yule, but then I'll continue to do shadow work with this at the first of the calendar year in January, February, through the winter, because it's wonderful. See here, we see he's made up of all different parts, right? It's all different parts. Okay. Deck number 3 that I'm going to be using during this season, I'm very excited about. This is a new deck to me this year. It is the Poe Tarot by Trisha Lee Schufelt, and oh my goodness, nobody loves Edgar Allan Poe any more than I do. I love him so much, and I was excited to see this deck, and then I forgot about it, and then when somebody uses it, I go back and I finally did buy it. I don't buy many decks. I usually get them as gifts. My family likes to buy them for me for different things, but this time I bought it because I really was. It has appears to be a sizable book, but I'll talk to you about the book in a minute. These cards I really love. They're a little bit big. They're already gilded on the edge. They already have this edge. It's red. I don't know if you can see it. It's really lovely. It doesn't really hurt your hand like some of them do. I'm able to riffle shuffle. They're a little bit large for my hand, but it works. When you first get them, the edging, sometimes makes the cards stick together. I think that's kind of typical, but they're nice cards anyway. The beautiful ravens. They would be reversible. We see the same size up and down. I don't read reversibles, but if that's important to you, it's nice. They are reversible. The cards are black and white. The imagery is black and white. We have quills, we have wands, we have wells, and we have paws. Okay. And as you can see, let's go here. Let me see 6 of wells. I'll just start there and show you what they have. See, it's not much difference. The book and the card are not much difference. We have the same image. And then on the card, which I really, truly love, it has a quote from Edgar Allan Poe which is almost like a meditation, really, for the card. I don't know if you can see. I think maybe the camera's maybe too far away from the cards for you to see that. I don't know. It could be my lighting. But anyway, it says here on this card, "Now our thoughts thou shalt not banish, now our visions ne'er to vanish. From thy spirit shall they pass, no more like dewdrop from the grass." And that is from Spirits of the Dead by Edgar Allan Poe. Okay, so it gives that, and then it talks about the image in the card, and in this case, in the book, it says, "In this image we see Edgar reflecting upon the past as he looks longingly at the portrait of Sarah Elmira Royster Shelton. She was Edgar's childhood sweetheart and his fiancée before his death." The quote is from Spirits of the Dead, while the image was inspired by the oval portrait. and it offers keywords, and it offers reverse meanings if you wish. Okay. Now, normally that's not a big deal to me, the book, and normally it would not be. But I do like, if I think, because I know tarot well enough that I can say what a Six of Wells, it is a Six of Cups. It is about, it's the nostalgia card in the RAWS deck. So it does talk about memories or something nostalgic from the past. And that's what he is remembering. He's remembering. He's reflecting upon the past as he looks longingly. And we're giving an example from his writing where he has done that. So I really like that. I did hear somebody mention what they really liked about this deck, which I find, I really did mess these up when I shuffled them. I turned them for some reason. The space. I think it was Simon at Herman's Cave. I'm not sure. Mentioned that he appreciated the space around the illustration. The white space. We see a lot of white space. Some cards, I have red cards. I have some cards that are so busy in the illustration that sometimes it's almost too much to see, and it really distracts you sometimes from reading the meaning of the card, trying to find the meaning of the card. Sometimes, especially at the slower time of the year, the dark time of the year like we're in now, but the space around gives us room to let that thought dwell within us and see if we can find the direction of what the card is trying to tell us. So I really like that. This one says The Knight of Wells. Again, a quote from Edgar Allan Poe. As a thing of art, nothing could be more admirable than the painting itself. But it could have been neither the execution of the work nor the immortal beauty of the countenance, which had so suddenly and so vehemently moved me. I just loved it. I love pairing up the text of Edgar Allan Poe with the cards. And of course, I didn't mention that he is in every card. You see him in the cards. You see the raven in the cards a lot. And the cat. And his cat. We see too. Showing up from time to time, I think, in some of these cards. Here's the Ace of Candles. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming, dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. Oh, I love him. Oh, look, and there he is. His face is in the moon here. Okay. Anyway, these are beautiful, and I cannot wait to use these. I just cannot wait to use these. But, of course, before I use these, I need to fix whatever I did. There's this cat helping him brick up the wall. That has got to be from the Telltale Heart. I'm not sure. I'll throw a pause. Let's see what that's from. Oh, it's from the Cask of Amontillado. No, it's not. Okay, anyway, these are lovely cards, which I do need to fix because they're all over the place. Okay, so that was deck number 2. Deck number 4 is not a tarot deck. I apologize, but this is a new deck to me again that I got, which is the Shadowland Lenormand by Monica Berdirsky. I do have the regular Shadowland deck, and I would have maybe gone ahead and recommended that here for you as one of my decks of this time of year, because I do use it this time of the year. A lot of people were sharing that because the creatures in Monica Berdirsky's decks are they're not they're very appropriate for Halloween. The creatures you'll be able to see. There's something that we see. I haven't really used this much yet, and I have to say I was very surprised when I got the deck. For a Lenormand deck, these are very large. But regardless of what Monica Berdirsky what the author's reasoning was. The cards are as charming as, there's as charming as hell. There's the man, here's the heart. Look at the creatures. These are the same kind of creatures we see in her Shadowland deck. The mice, mountain, there's the key. There's the woman, here's the house. In this case, the house is a haunted house, we can see that. Fish, the anchor. The anchor's what's important, not the, whatever that is, a squid or an octopus or whatever. The rider. Oh, they're adorable cards. And here's, of course, the brooms. In this case, broom is a witch's broom. So they're very Halloween-y themed. Moon is wearing a mask. Okay, so they're perfect for Halloween. And I'm not going to criticize the deck because I love the deck and I would not be without it. I can see that I'm going to use it a lot. And I can see that even greater reason for that is once I looked into her book. And I have also recommended in the original tag I did to Kelly, the regular Shadowland book was one of the books I recommended because there's no better tarot book in my mind, really, than that one. It's so good. But this one, usually when we're looking, let's see. Here's the letter. We got a bat bringing the letter, but we don't care about the bat in the meaning. We care about the letter, and the letter is always some kind of a correspondence, a message coming to you. It's usually a written message, rather than or some kind of a written document. In this case, it does have keywords, and we would see that. Correspondence, text message, email, contract, written document of communication. Okay. It also then gives a shadow meaning, and regular Lenormand decks do not give shadows. And in this case, we can look at the shadow and see that would be procrastination of correspondence or poor communication skills. And if you're one of my subscribers, you might know that I'm not real good at that. I'm trying to get better, but I'm really not very good at that. I don't ever seem to get the time to answer my messages properly. But anyway, then it gives you a message, like more explanation about letter. Some written news is coming your way. Expect a bill, message, or email that may be business or personal. And then she talks about the bat, why she has a bat in here, what it symbolizes. And, in regular Normand, we don't care about the bat. We care about the letter. So that's a little different. It's a little twist on that, which is interesting. And then, of course, the favorite thing that I liked about her other guidebook with the regular deck, I have the reflection questions here in the Lenormand, and she has reflection questions. Are you up to date with sending correspondence? Number 2, what letter did you receive in the past that affected you deeply? Or 3, have you ever misinterpreted a letter's meaning or intent? Okay, when did this occur? So those are contemplations, things we would reflect on. And that's going to be an interesting thing. So I'm going to use this, especially at this time. Look at the coffin. And it's funny because the coffin is a regular symbol within the regular Lenormand deck, which usually just means it is the it's the ending, right? Deck number 5, I am very excited about. This deck is actually an actual Halloween deck. At least it's intended to be a Halloween deck. This is the Jack-o'-lantern Tarot. The reason I have it, it's new to me this year, and the reason I went ahead and got it was because I believe this to be a deck that is going to be quite usable, not just at Halloween. It's not so specific. It's not a trick-or-treat deck or anything like that. This is a deck that is very autumnal, if we want to say, of the season. Yes, there's a lot of jack-o'-lanterns and pumpkins in it, but You know, pumpkins are at my house part of the decor from the beginning of October, like the 1st of October, up until the end of November after Thanksgiving when we switch over to um, more greenery and things for Yule theme. I love the backs. Look at the backs. Oh, these are gorgeous with the owls, particularly. But the thing I liked about this deck was the illustrations are so magical to me. They are so well done. I hope that you can see that I'm you can see enough. My lighting is good for you to see the imagery because it's so beautiful. Very well done. I can read these cards very easily. Not even worrying about Halloween, to be honest. Okay, so I'm just gonna flip through so quickly just to show you. We have here's wands. We have the skulls up on the top of the wands. Very lovely. Knight of Wands, Pentacles. But notice the detail. Like notice seeing the clouds here, both in the Seven of Pentacles and the Queen of Swords. The skulls, the faces, skull faces in the deck. The bats in the sky, the vulture at the back of the throne, the skeleton in the back of the tree itself here with this skull over it. Oh, it's just they're so beautiful. They have so much detail. But they're very true. They read very well, like any RWS deck, style deck would. This, of course, is a Lo Scarabeo deck. Beautiful size, nice card stock. It does shuffle beautifully, which is important to me. You can see it's not edged. I haven't had it long enough to edge it, but it will be edged. I'm just trying to decide what color to do it in. I'm not exactly sure. But I will edge it, but it's lovely, borderless design. Here we have an owl, the face of an owl in the sky here. So well done. So, oh, I just can't wait. World card I usually don't even like. This is so beautiful. This is so beautiful. And this is interesting. The Three of Swords, rather than piercing the heart, piercing the mind, which is really what the swords are all about, right? It's not the feeling, it's the, it's the memory of something that was very painful, or something that has happened that is, or a thought that's very disturbing. Maybe remarks that were cruel or unkind, misunderstanding which was, committed. These are just, look at the Fool. Oh, look at the Fool. They're so gorgeous. I could spend like a whole day on these. And I'm very excited. We have some special activities. Look at the dragon. The Knight of Pentacles riding a dragon. I'm not usually this emotionally attached to decks that I see, but look at the moon. Oh, the moon has the two faces. The sun-moon faces in it. The dogs here are skeletons. It's just, I don't usually get this emotionally attached to a deck. I can see this deck is just, look at the Devil. I see a lot of use going to be with this deck. A lot of journaling going to be done with this deck. I don't want to take up a lot of time, but I can't stop. I just cannot stop with the images. But you can see it doesn't scream Halloween as much as it, but it's very Halloween-y. Yes, very good for Halloween. But you can see, look at the faces in the sky here, formed out of the formation of the birds. Very, very lovely. Very lovely. I know I'm going to drive people crazy with this deck. I can feel it already. Okay. Okay, the next prompt is for books. Tarot books related to tarot, especially for Halloween. This is not necessarily Halloween. This is the category that I struggled with before because I don't own a lot of tarot books. But I do have several here that I can share this time, so I'm kind of excited. Because this first book I'm sharing is called Ancestral Tarot, Uncover Your Past and Chart Your Future by Nancy Hendrickson. she has created this guide to help us connect with our ancestors, whether we know them or do not know them. She identifies these ancestors in different categories: the ancestors of blood, the ancestors of place, and the ancestors of time. And also, she talks in here about picking a spirit guide to help you on this journey. It is wonderful. I have, it also includes information on altars, setting up an ancestor altar, keeping an ancestor journal, um, and a lot more things. It's very easy to read. It is very well organized. It has a lot of practical advice, worksheets, layouts, all kinds of things that you can use in order to try to identify your ancestors. Now, I'm doing this in conjunction with a journal. I have started a special journal just on my ancestry, um, on this journey, on this tarot journey. I have selected certain decks that I'm using with the journal. Her idea is, we are created by our past. I mean, we have a tie to our past whether we know them or not. We all know, oh, well, when we talk about the ancestors we know, like we're a grandmother or grandfather or mother, father, those kind of things, we might know where they came from. We might have a tie to certain countries, especially here in the States. We are very into that because you realize everybody that here lives in the States, their ancestors, unless they're indigenous people, um, they are from somewhere else. So we all have our ancestral ties to different countries, to other countries outside of the United States. That is something we all have in common. So this helps you to identify people that you do not know. For instance, I found a great many of my ancestors, so many people from Scotland in my ancestry. I know that. And where in Scotland? Who were the people? What, where might they have lived in Scotland? And the tarot was helping me to connect in some way. What kind of gifts did I receive from these people? What do I have in common with some of these people? What are some of the deep feelings? Why do I have some certain deep feelings about certain things? Um, I remember my mother describing to me at one time, the first time that she heard bagpipes, she cried. It was something in a memory, her ancestral memory, because she had never heard bagpipes before that, and she cried. And I really identified that with that because I feel the same way. I have such a connection to hearing the pipes. They speak to my soul. They just do. They sing to my soul. And where other people maybe hate them. Okay. But anyway, this is a very interesting exercise. If you're interested in this kind of a journey, I really recommend this. Book number 2 is another journey using a book that takes us on another journey, and instead of an ancestral journey, this is a decanic journey through the minor arcana of the tarot. Again, this is something that this is by T. Susan Chang. This is a very, very interesting way to tie in tarot with astrology. Now, I think all of us, if you especially have a Rider-Waite deck, a lot of other decks, they have symbols on them of, astrological symbols. We see those all the time. And I think we know there is a connection between astrology and tarot, but maybe we don't know exactly what that is. Well, this is a really good book that helps to understand part of it as it takes you through the decans. We are in between October 22nd or 3rd, whatever that is. It'll vary from year to year. It'll end around October 31st and November 1st. So we are in the decan of Scorpio 1. The first one of one. Scorpio has 3. Scorpio 1 goes until then, and then it goes, because Scorpio is going to be 30 days. And then the second Scorpio 2 will be from November 1st to the 10th or 11th. And then Scorpio 3 will be, goes up until the 20th or 21st of November. Okay, so in there. So we have three decans in Scorpio. and corresponding to the minor arcana cards and 2 major arcana cards depending on the planetary ruler. Okay, here we are. In this case, we have the 5 of Cups, corresponding also with the Tower card and the Death card. All right, so it's a little confusing, but it's a very interesting journey. If you're at that point in your tarot journey that you want to get a little deeper into the study, this is a really good book. I recommend this book very highly. Book number 3 is not about tarot at all, but it is about divination, and at a really good time of the year to talk about runes. And I love this book so much. This is one of the best books I've seen on the subject. It is called Taking Up the Runes, a complete guide to using runes in spells, rituals, divination, and magic. It is written by Diana Paxson. She's a well-known author, and she's very thorough in her research. The first part is really very good about every rune. And I just want to read the first paragraph that she has written here to explain why she set it up this way. There are many ways, she says, of learning and many kinds of knowledge. By reading and thinking about the runes, we understand them with our minds. By seeking out activities that manifest their energies, we integrate them into our lives. But it is through meditation and ritual that we internalize them and incorporate them into our souls. Those who study the runes in all 3 ways will never forget their meaning. And I love that because I know so many people have been trying to learn runes. Oh, and here you can see, she has the journey here. She has, she actually has rituals, and here she has some songs. She has meditation, invocation, meditations for the rune, and then ending the ritual and the celebration following. I don't think you even need another book if you could read this one. I mean, I recommended that highly. My final book, you can probably see here in front of me, is not a tarot book or anything to do with divination. This book works very well since I'm using my Pojek as one of my tarot decks for this time of the year. But this is the Complete Works, Poe Complete Works. This is the edition, the Collier edition of Edgar Allan Poe's Complete Works. And this is one that's been in the family. As a matter of fact, here you can see it's very old. This is my husband's mother. It was to my cousin Margaret from Peter. And Margaret, I think it was her birthday that she received this as a gift. I'm not sure, but it was given to her this book was published in 1927. It's very thin. The paper is very thin, but it's beautiful. But it contains all of his poems, for his tales, his essays, his criticisms, and it's just gorgeous. And it starts out with a raven. And if you were on my channel before, I'm going to give you a link. I did, in 2020, when we were all quarantined, I did a special series on my channel, the 30 Days of Halloween, in which I put up a video every day during the month of October, something fun and interesting for Halloween. And I will put that link at the end of this video so you can see it. But I particularly would like you to look at the very end, the last video in that playlist, because I don't remember exactly what I had planned for that video, but I did have to change my plan because on that day, my daughter and her family who lived nearby were evacuated. There was wildfires in the area of their home, and so they were evacuated and had to come here and set up camp in my house for several days, and they had to work from home. They were working from home at the time because of the pandemic. My son-in-law worked, he designs computer programs, and he worked on my kitchen table. My grandson worked in the guest room area on his schoolwork. He was a student, I believe, at the time, and my daughter held a kindergarten class from this very room, this parlor, which we laughed about. I thought that was so funny that she had a kindergarten class in this parlor, and she said, "Don't worry, Mom, I can put in another background, so they don't have to see your parlor on in my kindergarten class." So anyway, I read The Raven. I read for that, which is everybody knows that one and here. It's probably one of his most famous poems. So anyway, this is a precious, precious book, and I do love to get it out at this time of the year and read it. Okay, since we were just talking about Edgar Allan Poe, the book, I thought for my first spread, I will show you. I'm going to use my Poe Jack and see what I can show you. A spread I can share, and this is supposed to be Halloween spread, so I'm going to use simply one of my favorite spreads, but we're going to give it a Halloween twist. And one of my favorite spreads to use is a 3-card spread because you can use it. You can name them anything you want to call them. Okay, in this case, 3 cards. I'm always going to, the first middle card is always the situation, or in this case, it's going to be the situation. And then we're going to have how you might be tricked and how you might be treated. Trick or treat. Situation, how you may be tricked, and how you may be treated. And see what you've got. Real simple, but sometimes they give you really a lot of insight. Okay, so our situation here, it's the sun. Well, that's a good thing. And we have here, they who dream by day are cognizant of many things which escape those who dream only by night. Okay, and we're going to look at the sun card, what the author has to say about the sun card in this deck. There's a quote again, and he says, "Since Poe became the moon," which referring, I guess, to the fact that his face is in the moon card, which comes before it, which is the embodiment of feminine energy, "I felt it fitting to have his mother as the sun. I love the idea of her looking down upon him, providing a source of inspiration throughout his life." Okay, so that's really lovely, and that's his mother's face looking down on him. And this is, of course, our typical sun card, having to do with health, vitality, some joy, energy, celebration, really good things. This is a good, positive thing. Okay. Now, how could we be tricked? How can we be tricked at this time? We're going to look at the card here, and we have the King of Wells. King of Wells, which would be the equivalent of the King of Cups. And he says here, "I was never really insane except upon occasions when my heart was touched." Okay, so what do we have in here about the King of Wells? King of Wells. And the insight on that card says, the quote comes from a letter Poe wrote to Maria Clem, the mother of his deceased wife, Virginia, on July 7th, 1849. In it, he woefully beckons her to his bedside as he is suffering from a terrible bout of cholera. He further insists that despite her being a sweet reason to live, he must die as he has lost his will to live. Poe would mysteriously meet his death 3 months later on October 7th, 1849. Okay, so this is a melancholy card. This is a card about emotional control, having emotional control or kindness. It's a compassionate card normally. And in this case, as if we're going to be tricked, we might be tricked by having our emotions trick us, right? Get so caught up in the emotion of things that we're tricked. And in this case, he had reason to live, but he had lost his will to live, so therefore he did not go on. It's never really insane except upon occasions when my heart was touched. Okay, so this emotion of it all that broke him. Okay, but how might we be treated? 5 of Paws, and there's this little black cat, and the quote says, "Just as the day dawns to the friendless and houseless beggar who roams the streets throughout the long, desolate winter night, just so tardily, just so wearily, just so cheerily came back the light of the soul to me." This is from the premature burial. Oh dear. Okay. But the inside is in this card says, I honestly loved creating this image. In it, we see Pluto as he looks through a window. The question is whether or not he is outside looking in or inside looking out. We can see the snow on his fur, but otherwise there's no indication of where he truly is. And that's the key. The Five of Wands, which is Five of Pentacles or Five of Coins, asks us to examine our lack mindset. When we focus on what we lack, we sometimes fail to see the support that is often right in front of us. Okay, so this is the light. He's given up here, he's given up, caught up in the emotion of it. Okay, but the treat is that sometimes by looking at what you lack, you are then able to see what it is you need. Which I like that. It's right in front of us all the time. Okay, we're going to try another spread. A little more detailed now. The internet is really full of especially Pinterest, of examples of good spreads for Halloween that you might want to look up. I think the next two that I have, since I normally don't do just Halloween spreads, I looked up on the internet to see what I could find. I was kind of taken with this one. This is 6 cards. Uses 6 cards. We're not going to actually do a reading, but I will give you the layout here. See what it is. Because these cards aren't really that, I don't think they're that well shuffled. But we'll see. But we have tricks, 3 cards representing a trick. First card is something that is tricking me. Card 2 would be how I'm being fooled by this. And card 3 would be how I can gain a clear perspective and stop being tricked. Okay, so I can see something that's tricking me is the 7 of Swords. And isn't that what the 7 of Swords is all about? It's about somebody trying to get away with something. And here we have the Tower card, how you're being fooled. And, you know, the Tower, of course, is about trickery because things are built on ground that is not, you're putting all your hopes and dreams and building something on something that's maybe not stable. You don't have the stability beneath you to support what it is you're building, and that's going to come out from under you. Okay, so something is being tricked that's really knocking us down. And here we have the 7, the Chariot, how we get a clear perspective and stopping being tricked, which is kind of interesting because we see this as a, you know, moving into a direction, going into another direction, moving forward, maybe not trying to sneak away, but maybe going with determination, going with strength. Okay, away from whatever the situation is, perhaps. And then we see the treat card. First one represents a treat in your life. That is the Knight of Wands. A way you can fully embrace the treat, which we have the 9 of Cups, the Wish card. And we have the 10 of Pentacles. It's something you don't understand about the treat is, you know, what a blessing it is. Okay, so we see the 9 of Wands fulfilling our wishes, you know, something that's going to fulfill our wishes. And we see the Knight of Wands. What does he say in here about the Knight of Wands? I'd be curious. The Knight. The daring knight rushes across a grassy field, ready to meet his troubles head-on. Little does he realize his rash and impulsive reactions to life are the cause of his conflicts. Not to be rash, just slow down a little bit. Don't burn yourself out. Okay. The Fire of Fire, the Knight of Wands. Okay. So something is burning. Something's really going. There's some kind of something going on here that is a big treat. Something I always wanted, but perhaps it's going to be shared. It needs to be shared. Okay, for my third reading, I'm going to use the Jack-o'-lantern tarot. This is a reading that I sort of adapted from ones that I have seen on Pinterest, on I don't know where else, but people. There's a few other people that have done a variation on this spread. Look how nicely these cards shuffle, by the way. um, it's 8 cards. I hope it will show up in my camera. I'm not sure if it will, but it's okay. I will lay them out how I need to. But basically, they're laid out in a and they say this is a haunted house spread. Okay, say I'll try to fit them. I don't have a lot of room here to show, so I'll try to fit them so they show up in the camera. But we begin at the top with the ghost in the attic, and that is the situation card. Okay, this is what is haunting you. Okay, and we'll look at these a little different, but let's just say the ghost in the attic will be up here, and down below on the very bottom is the body in the basement. So we have to go from attic to basement, and then we go up on the upper floor again. We see the skeleton in the closet, and I'm going to put it here so that they'll fit. Skeleton in the closet, number 3, and the fogged mirror. We have the shadowy figure, the creaking staircase, and then I have 2 more for in here. One would be the dormer window in daylight and an unlocked door. That's how we will go on our way. Okay, now I know you can't see them because they're on top of each other, but let's just go so that you can maybe do this on your own table. Card number 1 is up at the top. The haunted house is what is haunting you, the ghost in the attic, what is haunting you. And this is a strength card. So for a strength card to be haunting you, this is the situation. That's why we're saying this is haunting. It's about strength. It's about your own personal strength, my own personal strength. So that's the card that I see first. And then down in the basement, I see the body in the basement, something that needs to remain buried. And I have the 8 of Swords, needs to remain buried. I need to let remain buried the idea of not having ability to do anything to change my situation. That idea is off the table. It's down in the basement. It's going to remain buried. Okay, so I'm not going to concern myself at all with that. Card number 3, the skeleton in the closet, is something that is being hidden. Being very proud of your accomplishments. Okay, this is not the time to be hiding or avoiding getting credit for my accomplishments, perhaps. Okay, and here number 4, what are you not seeing clearly? This is the fogged mirror, and this is the Hermit card. Maybe I'm not seeing where I should be going. What direction should I be leading? Should I be moving in? Maybe I'm just unsure of my way from this point. This shadowy figure, the 7 of Wands, is a shadowy figure that is who or something might be present to affect the outcome of the reading. I was just looking in the little white book. They usually don't tell you too much, but here for the 7 of Wands, it does say, you are supported by the spirit of the jack-o'-lantern. Take your next step. You're always protected. So, when we talk about the shadowy figure, who or what is present that will affect the outcome? Well, I guess that's me. I'm the one to go ahead and affect the outcome. I'm well protected. I don't need to worry about it. So that's encouraging. And then I have the Empress as the creaky staircase. What obstacle might I encounter? Let's see what he says about the Empress in this deck. I don't normally look in these little books, but occasionally when I first get the deck, I do, just in case there's a trick, a little twist. What's the twist here? Nothing. It's just a fertility card. I think don't see anything unusual about it. So I would say here for the creaky staircase, what obstacles might I encounter? I'm not going to really encounter anything here. Unless I see there's life is good and all around. Maybe I'm a little complacent. Maybe I'm being a little complacent and not going forward because I'm seeing I'm just sort of sitting, enjoying the enjoying the peace that surrounds me at this time. And then we have in the center the dormer window and daylight. This is putting clarity on the situation. And finally, the unlocked door is the way out, or what lies ahead. What is next following this? Where are we going from here? Okay, the next prompt asks for, we did the 5 decks, we did the 4 books, the 3 tarot spreads, and now we're doing, the next one is asking for either two, what does it ask for? 2 habits, tarot habits, or paraphernalia, kinds of paraphernalia that we might use at this time of the year at Halloween. Well, if you've been around my channel at all, you probably have seen my guardian. My guardian usually sits up in my cupboard behind me, but at this time of the year, my guardian comes out and he guards my candy corn. My candy corn, the food of my people. I know a lot of candy corn haters out there. I'm a candy corn lover, at least at this time of the year. I always have had candy corn at this time of the year. Hope to always have it. It's fun. It's a fun thing. I started out thinking, keep your hands out of my candy corn. I put my guardian here to make sure. But actually, it's become something a little bit more for me at this point, because I do a lot of work with contacting the spirit world and at this time of the year. And the idea of leaving out some kind of a food or drink for the spirits as a gesture of respect, it helps to establish a communication with them, just like you would offer food or drink to somebody who comes to visit your house. That's very cool. So we're doing the same thing perhaps with the spirits that are coming to visit us, something they recognize from when they were in the physical world. And then it says, also, we have to understand when the spirits cannot consume this food, they don't eat it. This also offers this offering represents a way to nourish their spiritual energy. It takes a lot of energy for them to be able to communicate with us at this time, and some of them don't have the energy to do so. So often there will be somebody in their place who will be there, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a little while. Okay, so anyway, this is just one of my habits that I have, one of the things that I do, which is very fun. And speaking of the spirits, I wanted to do something. I want to say something that was very Halloween-y, having to do with Halloween, not just a habit that I usually use for tarot, but at this time of the year particularly, I always protect and cleanse my area. Always, always, always. But I sometimes at this time will even add extra things. Like here on my table right now, I have some love beads, which you might have seen me wear. One of them was a gift from a friend, but another one was something that I've had since the 70s. I've worn since the 70s. And I might do something like, I'm on a cloth here, but I might do something after I've cleansed. I will use something to cleanse my area. I usually use the smoke cleanse, either with white sage that I grow from my garden, or I will use Palo Santo sometimes, or it's just some other kind of incense. But I always have something like that, and I really like this guy at this time of the year. My little incense burner, my plague doctor. The smoke comes out of his eyes. It's really fun. But anyway, or I always have incense burners here on my table. This takes sticks, and then I just have a simple, I have a simple, for cones. Again, I've had this one, I think, since the 70s. I've had that forever. But I always have incense burning, always. I usually will put candles on my table, especially black candles at this time of the year for protection. The love beads, what I was saying, I will sometimes encircle my cards with beads. I will lay them around in a circle, or I will lay them some above and some below and put my cards between. Again, symbols of peace, symbols of love, symbols of trust for me. I have always a snowflake obsidian crystal that I use to also protect. I have a lot of things that I will just pull out, and this is the time where I make sure, absolutely make sure I have them. My last prompt asks for either advice, a piece of advice, or a card that I wish to embody. I don't really think of myself as embodying any card. I am a crone and I am full of advice. So this seems to be the normal response to this prompt. I do want to say that I'm trying to keep it very closely related to Halloween as I can. So my advice is going to be this. The tarot deck, tarot reading, tarot cards are meant to be tools. They are tools. They are tools which we use in order to communicate with the spirit world or with the energies or with whoever you want to call them. And you know, if you, it's not good enough to just get the cards out and just lay out your cards and then just maybe look up the meaning of the book and go, oh well, there's my reading. That's okay. That's okay. But there's so much more, and we need to give them the opportunity to be so much more. Okay, and they were a great tool to communicate with spirits. We talk about that all the time this time of the year. We talk about communicating with our dead. We set up altars, to honor our deceased, our loved ones who have passed, and we maybe hope to see signs that they are around us, so that we can honor them, remember them, remind them how much they have meant to us, how much they're missed, etc. Okay. So this advice is how to use the tarot deck as a tool to communicate with the spirits, literally communicate. Okay. Now I have a really good video on the subject. I have a couple of them. They're pretty old, but I will offer a link. I will try to give you a link at least for one of them at the end of this video, perhaps, because this is not a real simple. I don't want to spend too much time here to talk about it, but we're going on the premise that the spirits who are visiting you, with the veil being thin, are first of all going to be not tarot readers. So they're not going to know the hermit, what the hermit means. They're not going to know that. They're not going to know maybe what we think about it when we think about the Three of Pentacles. They're not going to understand that the Fool is the beginning of a journey. They're not going to understand the meanings that we normally have for our cards. But we do want to use, it does not have to be the Santa Muerte deck. I'm just using this as an example, that you can use any deck that you have for this purpose, but you need to use a deck that has good pictures. Because if the deceased cannot read, do not know what the cards mean, they're going to be communicating with you. The idea is they're going to communicate with you by having the pictures, looking at the pictures. And they're going to tell you what they want to say through pictures. It's like Pictionary with the dead, right? Is that what it is? Pictionary with the dead. Okay. So what we would do is we have like 6 different questions that we would ask the spirits. And what I would do is I would of course, protect my area, protect, because remember, if we're going to try to communicate with the spirits, we're going to communicate with the spirits of our loved ones, but maybe any other spirits that happen to be around, and they're not always the ones we want around. If we're inviting them in, anybody can come in, just like with the Ouija. That's what we have precautions. When we use the Ouija, we have precautions when, or spirit board, there are precautions when we do this. Put them on first. Who is the spirit present? What is your relationship to me? And then we would do more, and we would say, how do you make yourself known to me? Why you're here? Why are you here? Okay. And then we would say, what do you want from me? And what can you do for me? Okay, so we just want to go through these, and if they don't make sense, we will continue to draw cards. Okay, who is the spirit present? Who are you? Who are you? Okay, we see maybe there's a lot of spirits present. A lot of spirits present. What's your relationship to me? Okay, what is your relationship to me? There's that Page of Pentacles again. What is your relationship to me? Somebody that I did business with, perhaps. I'm pulling something out of my purse, or I'm putting something into purse. What is your relationship? Somebody who might have done some business. Okay. Why are you here? We asked. Why are you here? Well, here we're giving some. Here's a book. We're looking into a book. Maybe there's some knowledge to give me some kind of knowledge I did not have. Or what do you want from me? Just, a relationship. Just back to a relationship. I've been thinking about you lately. Or here I have a message for you from somebody. Okay. What do you want from me? What can you do for me? There's some kind of a celebration here. There's some kind of, they're carrying flowers. And here we have another celebration with friends. What can you do for me? Let's reminisce. Let's just reminisce about some of the things that we did when I was alive. You get the idea. You just keep pulling cards, and depending on the deck that you use, you will start to see things in the pictures that make sense. And if you do not understand, if this is not being very clear, I'm trying to do this very fast because I don't want this to be a long video, but if you would check out that video, you'll see a little bit better how we do these. Okay. So the advice that I would give is to remember to use your tarot deck as a tool. Always, it is a tool, but in this case, particularly at Halloween, particularly at Samhain, it is a good tool to help us and pretty much a safe tool, much safer than I think a spirit board, but that's my opinion, to communicate somewhat with our loved ones who have passed. Ask specific questions. Ask them slowly of the deck. Who is the spirit present? What is your relationship to me? How do you make yourself known to me? Why are you here? And finally, what do you want from me? And what can you do for me? Okay. If you have questions, or if you get cards that are disturbing, like we came before, we got cards that were maybe disturbing, like I think we got a devil card before, which was kind of scary and disturbing. Especially if you're thinking it's not scary if you're a tarot reader, but it's scary if you don't know what it means. If you don't know what it means, and it looks like somebody just looking at the picture goes, I'm here, I'm gonna force something on you. I'm gonna force you to do something you don't want, or I'm here to try to convince you of something, or force, this is not that friendly. I don't consider a person who doesn't understand tarot would look at an image like that and say, and other strength cards are very lovely depending on the deck, but in this deck, this isn't that friendly. I would say, goodbye. I would dismiss that person and say goodbye, just like we do with the spirit board. So there you have it. Now I'm going to edit, because I don't want this to be a long video, and I have a feeling it might be. I'm going to edit. But thank you for watching, and if you have never watched any of my videos before, thank you for watching this one, and I hope that maybe you can check out some of some of my other videos, particularly the ones that I have recommended to you in this video. I really enjoyed it. Thank you to Kelly Bear. Thank you to Kelly Bear for giving this really enjoyable tag again. And putting in Halloween twists in it was really interesting to me and really fun. And I participated. I was happy to participate in it. Okay, so there you have it. And enjoy Halloween, however you do it. So I'm Rebecca, and thank you for coming to the Crone House. I wish you blessings.